Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today is an exciting video, frankly a long overdue one, and that's my original modded Xbox. Something that I've wanted for years. At first I didn't know what they were. I heard people talked about modded Xboxes and I'm like, oh okay, you can play UK games, good. You could play Miami Vice or Conan the Barbarian. They have a really cool tank game over in the UK, a Panzer game, German tank game or something that I've seen. But like a couple games that would be very interesting to play, but I didn't think it would warrant going out and trying to have one modified or try to obtain one off eBay just to play a handful of games from the UK or from other countries that weren't region locked. So I really didn't know what the big deal was of having a modded Xbox until I went down for Christmas a couple years back. My wife's cousin bought a brand new house down in Huntington Beach, and they were excited. They had already been in there like a year and moved in and kind of made the place their own. And we had heard about it and were anxious to go visit them. So we went down for Christmas. We had very limited time when we were down there, but we went over and spent an afternoon, had lunch with them, and they took us back to their new house, which they had been remodeling it and what have you, with new furniture and painted the whole inside. It looked very, very nice. We were really impressed with it. But the big thing with Adam, which was my wife's cousin's husband, he says, Dean, he said, I know the thing you're interested in is a garage. I want to show you my garage. I've been fixing it up. I go, oh, cool. I love that's what I want to do with my garage. I want to fix it up. So I went in there and he showed me he had painted the garage. Really looked nice. He had room for one car, and then the rest of it they had like their bikes that they ride down to the boardwalk and the beach down in Huntington Beach. They had their beach bikes in there. They had a full-size refrigerator. He had installed a nice utility sink, and I thought all that stuff was great, you know. But he said, Dean, check this out. And he had a couch, real nice leather couch with a little area rug, and he had a flat screen TV, maybe like a 55 inch or so, on a table. I look and say, oh, you have an original Xbox. Oh, great, that's great, man. Did you finally find one that works? And he goes, dude, it's more than that. It's a modded Xbox. I go, what is this modded Xbox thing? So what, you can play UK games? He said, no, much better than that. Dude, there's emulators on it. Check this out. He turns the thing on. I'll turn mine on now. And I was totally blown away with what I saw. And what he had is he had thousands, virtually thousands of old arcade games and Sega Genesis games and Super NES games and other games from other consoles of like the 4th and 5th gen. I'm like, oh my God, wow, where did you get this? I've never seen such a thing. He said, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. He said, I don't even play original Xbox games on it. I just use it for the emulators. My friends and I come over and we have beers and sit and play games. And I had never seen one before. I was totally blown away. I thought his whole house was great. I really loved his finished garage. That's actually what, encouraged me to go out and finish and drywall my own and paint it, make it nice. I even put a utility sink in like he did. A lot of the same mods. But and now I even have a TV out there with my PS1 and Sega Genesis and some other consoles, which I just recently got, which I'm going to hook up out there soon. And so I was just blown away. I said, wow, this is really impressive, dude. And he had it hooked up via component cables with a flat screen. I didn't even know you could play a modded Xbox back then on a flat screen. He said, well, dude, you have to have component cables. It works great. Oh, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. So I had my head was filled with ideas. So I went home. The whole way home, I kept talking about Adam and his modded Xbox. And this is a fantastic machine. And it took me a long time to get one. Now, a friend of mine, Clint, when the new PS4 Pro came out, I was donated a PS4 Pro from my good friend Angel, who at the time lived down in Southern California. And so I had my original launch, midnight launch PS4, and I wanted to find a home for it. I mean, I wanted to kind of pass the savings on and do something nice for someone else, and someone did something nice for me. I could have kept it as the original midnight launch, PS4, but it was in perfect condition. So I had my friend Clint, who had some health problems and still is kind of wrestling with some of them today. In fact, his YouTube thing, he hasn't done anything on YouTube for quite a while. And I wanted to send it to him. I knew that he wanted a PS4 and didn't have the money for one. He had been out of work just as I am at the moment with health issues. So I said, dude, I want to send you this PS4. He sent me a modded Sega Genesis with a stereo mod. And he goes, oh, dude, he said, when he got it, he was so impressed with it. He goes, I never could have afforded one. You easily could have sold this on eBay. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And I said, well, dude, you gave me that modded Sega Genesis with a stereo mod. I said, that was the coolest thing ever. He said, that's nothing. I owe you a lot more than that. And he said, just let me know if I can ever do anything for you. And I said, well, how about fixing it? I got 3 beautiful original Xbox consoles. They're all in mint condition. I've got one that's in my game room that's on my, it never gets used. It works great though. Not a scratch on it. It's in my game room on display and my bookshelf. I have another one that I have sitting right over here, which is typically here with my PVR. That was the best one. It was one of the latter models right before the Xbox 360, and it had the better, I think it was a Hitachi DVD drive or whatever the better DVD drive was. And that's the one Steve Baker has now. In fact, he's going to go through that and put a new clock capacitor, a new rubber band on the DVD drive and clean it out nice and dial it in for me, so it's like just a perfect original mint, all original Xbox. And then the one that I had, when it was an earlier model, but it was one that could be modded. And I was really impressed with that. I said, wow, I said, I'll just send him this one. It had the shitty Thompson DVD drive, which are notorious for breaking and having issues. So I told Clint, I said, look, there's no hurry, and I mean it. Take all the time you need. And it took like a good year for him to get all the pieces together and to finally do it. And like I said, I was in no hurry. I had all the patience in the world. And so he found me a new DVD drive for it, a better one than the Thompson one. I can't remember which one it was at the time. He found me replace, not just remove, but replace with a brand new clock capacitor, a better one. So that way I could actually use the clock, which I have now. I still have the clock in it, which was awesome. And he put all new thermal paste, cleaned it all inside for me. And then he put in a brand new 500 gigabyte hard drive. Initially he was going to put like a 180 or a 120 gigabyte, which is more than enough for like Coinops 8. I think you need at least like a 120 gigabyte hard drive. Now nowadays you see people with 2 and 3 terabytes. Xbox original modded consoles, it's like overkill. You don't need that much storage space. I mean, unless you want to have virtually, hundreds and hundreds of original Xbox games or something in it. It's really not necessary. So I said, well, how about a 500 gigabyte? Because you can go, I think 500 or 750 is the highest you can go with an original one. Then you can modify it with a special chip thing to where you can attach like a 2 terabyte or one of the real mega terabyte ones, but it's a much more difficult process, and it's not really needed. It's overkill. So I said a 500 one would be fine. That way I have more than enough memory space for the Coinops 8, which is what I wanted. At the same time, I want to be able to rip all my favorite original Xbox games. You can actually install the disc, rip the game to the hard drive, and then you don't have to even use the disc. You can just play it straight off the hard drive. Now on the Xbox 360 you can install them on the hard drive, but you still have to use the disc and put it in like a key to authenticate it and play it as a disc is in there, even though it's ripped and installed inside. So it's a wonderful thing. So I only have a few games, and here I'll show you the games that I've got. Now this is the Unleash Xbox program. Now you can change the colors of this. I have a purple background now. You can go into, just to show you real quick, you can go into System, Settings. You can adjust the settings, the music, the audio, the visuals, screen dimensions, everything. You can go into skins, and you can go purple, red backgrounds, orange, green, blue. Some people like green because it's an Xbox. I thought the purple looked really nice, so I just left the purple. But it's a fantastic thing. There's so much to it. You got emulators you have here, which you go in here, and you've got your Coinops 8, and then he asked me, he said, what other programs would you like? I said, is there a Commodore 64 program with a lot of emulators? He said, yeah, there's one that's called ViceX, so we install that as well. I haven't even explored this yet. It's got hundreds and hundreds of Commodore 64 games, which is amazing, as Coinops 8 does as well, just not near as many. So before I get into all that, you can go into Applications, and right here he installed the DVD to Xbox program, and with that, you can install games right in the hard drive once you have that. It's a beautiful thing. In fact, I'll show you how it works in a minute. And then games. Here's my games. Now you go in here, and I got 007 Nightfire. They're in alphabetical order. Agent Under Fire, 007. These are all original Xbox games. Call of Duty 2, the big red one, a fantastic Call of Duty that's just for the 6th gen. Dead Man's Hand, a fantastic first-person shooter that I've never actually played, but I wanted to play it soon, so I wanted to install it in here. Dread vs. Death. This is a fantastic Holy Grail, and you also have a little correlating picture here you can see. that actually has, so someone took the time to not only just do this, but they made it to where they have artwork that correlates with it, and it's fantastic. You've got driver parallel lines, my favorite driver game. There's the icon for it there. Forza Motorsport. This was the iconic driving game, racing game that turned my life around. This is what really warranted the purchase of an Xbox over a PlayStation 2. I thought Gran Turismo was the pinnacle of racing games, and in some ways it still is. It's an iconic series, but once I played Forza and saw the lighting and the driving physics and just the graphical quality and it just damage modeling, a lot of things they didn't have with Gran Turismo, I was sold on. That's another rant anyway, before I get carried away. Freedom Fighters. Now what's interesting is when you go to install the disc, if there's any scratches or things that could keep the game at some point from having a problem where it freezes or it won't play, this is the way to know. The same thing with the Xbox 360. If you install the disc, if it installs with no issues, and all the way to the end, then it's a good game and the disc will play, scratches or no scratches. This is the only game that has one small scratch about a ½ inch long, but it's a deep one, and it kind of goes parallel with the little grooves, and it's keeping this from installing, so I keep getting an error. So Steve Baker's actually taking my game, and he's going to have it resurfaced when he goes to the next time to his favorite resurface guy. He's got one of those really high-end resurfacing machines. And they're going to see if they can get the scratch out. So I'm really bummed about that. This is one of my favorite top 10 6th-gen games is Freedom Fighters. It started to install, and it shows it's in there, but it's not completely installed. 007 from Russia with Love, a fantastic James Bond game. Heroes of the Pacific, my favorite flying game for the original Xbox or the PS2. Fantastic. Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. This game is tougher than a cheap steak. A fantastic game. I never could beat this game. I'm obsessed. I had to get it installed. I played the PS2 version and really got stuck on it about 2/3 of the way in. But I want to see if I can beat this. So I have that installed. James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing. So I have all 4 of the better James Bond's games. I have another one where you play as the enemy, agent, and rogue agent it's called, and that one's the only one I don't have installed in here. Then I got Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, one of my favorite Star Wars games. It's so good. And then I have its follow-up, Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, which I've never played, but it looks fantastic and even has a lot of improvements over Jedi Outcast, although I like the level design far better in Jedi Outcast, frankly, from what I've seen. LA Rush, a really fun driving game, a lot of import tuner type cars. Land of the Dead, the very first game, and the reason why I bought my first original Xbox. Medal of Honor Frontline, I had to have that in there. I've only played the PS2 version. I also have one installed on my PS3 as well, a remastered version of it. Medal of Honor Rising Sun, now I haven't played that, but I saw a friend of mine play it at his house, and it looks like a great game. I'm dying to play that, so I installed those. Miami Vice, now this is a UK game, installed perfect, and it plays great. I'm so excited that actually finally I can play. This is worth having it alone, just having a modded Xbox for this one game. It's so cool. It's actually a really good game. I'm really enjoying it. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. This is the best Midnight Club 3 version. Got that fully installed. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. It's the only game where the PlayStation 2 version is actually better than the original Xbox and GameCube version. This is very similar to the GameCube version. It's a completely different game from the PS2 version, but it still is a fun racing game. I really enjoy it. Need for Speed Underground 2. I have 1 and 2, but I frankly just want to play the second one. Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. I didn't have the $100 or so to buy one of these. Now, when Steve got a hold of it, and then when I finally got the unit back and I got it to play it, my original modded Xbox, it had a problem with the DVD drive. It just wouldn't work for some reason. I don't know what happened. When my friend Clint tested, he said it did, but when it got here, maybe it broke in shipping. I don't know. So Steve Baker took it and had it another 4 or 5 months or whatever it was. And I said, when time permits, maybe you could help me replace it. He found me a really clean Hitachi, the better DVD drive, and installed it. Man, it works great now. So Steve Baker and Clint, my friend, were very helpful in helping me to realize this dream of finally getting not just a modded Xbox, but I wanted to build the ultimate Xbox, something better than a brand new one that I could play original Xbox games on. I know it's going to last because it has all new parts in it, and it's built to last. I can install all my favorite games in it and what have you. And so he was very nice. He had this game in his collection. I couldn't afford to buy this, so he installed this game for me. Predator, Concrete Jungle, another holy grail of mine. Fantastic, very underrated game. Reservoir Dogs, one of the best looking games on the original Xbox. Like I said, it's one of the best movie licensed games you can play. Highly underrated. Roadkill, one of my favorite car combat games, very much like Twisted Metal. Scarface, The World Is Yours. I had to have that. I mean, I started to play this on my other Xbox that Steve Baker has now. That's the one that has all my game saves in it. The Jedi Outcast and Scarface and a lot of these. So I'm going to have to start these over on this particular unit. Shell Shock 967 are extremely tough, very challenging Vietnam game. I never could beat this either. I even have the strategy guide for this. Sniper Elite, the first one, very tough. This is a very tough, challenging game, even more so than the new ones. Soldier of Fortune 2, a fantastic guilty pleasure, very gory. You can sever off limbs and arms and heads with machine guns. It's crazy. Star Wars Battlefront 1, Star Wars Battlefront 2, I had to have those. Those are go-to games. Star Wars Republic Commando, I've never played, but I've always wanted to play that. It's a fantastic game. And Stubbs' a Zombie, another game I couldn't afford to get that Steve Baker had, and said, Dean, I did surprise you, and I installed 2 games that I know you've wanted in your hard drive. So those are the games I have. Not a tremendous amount, but enough to get me going. That's more than enough. I might add a couple more in there, but and I still have tons of space for more. So it's very cool. In fact, I need to install, I have Cold Fear here, which I want to install. So I'm going to show you how it works. So you back out of this, you go down to Applications, DVD to Xbox. I'll open up, oh shit, I accidentally hit the button by accident. I guess it's okay. You don't have to. I typically put the disk in first. I guess you can do it either way. I'm still kind of getting familiar with the syntax. So now I'll open the door up. I'll put the Cold Fear disk in. Now these typically take between 5 and 7 minutes to install, so I'll just kind of fast forward through it so you don't have to see the whole install. This is a great, highly underrated game. I like it even better than the Resident Evil games. It's kind of a Resident Evil clone. I even have the rare strategy guide for this. Cold Fear, you gotta play this. This is a fantastic survival horror game, very cool. So anyway, so now I close the disk drawer. I wait for this, that shows that it initializes. Once it initializes, it will take a minute. It recognizes the game disk software, it's ready to go. That's how many megabytes that game is to install on your hard drive, which is nothing. I mean, the games today have, 50 gigabytes. This is nothing in comparison. There's even the logo there, Cold Fear, and you hit this button, copy DVD, CD to hard drive. Now you go in here in your hard drive, and you drop it down to games where you got the most space. I got 24,955 megabytes free, and I hit that, and then I hit the start button, proceed, and it starts ripping it to the disk. It goes real fast. There's even a little logo right there, Cold Fear. So I'm going to let this sit and spin up. It takes a few minutes, and I'll be right back near the end of it. You can see how it works. So now it's at the home stretch. It's finally finishing. Took about 7 or 8 minutes. Some games take a little longer, some shorter. And it's great because you can just remove the disk and it's a done deal. That's it. Now it's processing. You wait for a few seconds. When it's completely done, it automatically ejects the disk, and you put the game away, and that's it. Now you can leave the game on the shelf. You never even have to pull it out to play the game. It's a beautiful thing. And I just installed 13, or I've got to install this too. That's the next one I'm going to install, but I'll do that later, and a couple other Vietnam games. You close the disk drawer and then hit the start button to proceed. Now I go back down to exit the dashboard. It'll take you back to the Unleash X home screen menu, and I'll show you the Coinops. So now in games you go, and I'll check games and see if it shows up. Here it is, Cold Fear, 4th game. And there's the logo there, and it's ready to go. In fact, I'll just show it. I'll just click on it and show the beginning of the game. It's so cool. I absolutely love this. I mean, if just for no other reason to install the games on it alone and to be able to play, you know, the UK games makes it well worth it. But the emulation for the Coinops 8 is just incredible. This is a very cool game. It's very underrated. I haven't played this game since I bought it, but now I have it installed for that reason because I want to get back into this. It's a fantastic game. You're on the ship in the high seas and the boat shifts and rocks and the waves blowing over the ship and you're trying to walk on the boat without getting blown overboard. It's very cool. It's got a really cool Marilyn Manson song in the beginning with a real nice little intro video. It's very cool. Such a classic. It's a great Ubisoft game from 2005. Highly underrated. I was lucky enough to find an original strategy guide for this, which I had when I bought it brand new the day this came out. I bought this. This is a great game. Great music. Well, anyway, I'll stop it here. Let's see how I back out of it. I think I have to reboot the whole thing. That's the only thing. There's a couple issues where I'm not sure. There's certain button combinations that there's no manual that comes with it, so you don't know how to go back to the original menu. So what I do is I just shut it off and then turn it back on again to go into Coinops. So again, these are things that I'm still researching. It's one of those things where it's frustrating. There's not like a little manual that comes with it that tells you how to navigate through everything, but everyone's modded Xbox is different. Some people have different emulators, different programs that run these things or that download them. The DVD to Xbox, from what I've heard, is the best one. So now I'll go down to emulators, click on that. I'll click on Coinops 8, and man, is this cool. You can customize the backgrounds, the way everything looks. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful program. Now mine is a smaller version. There's one that has like, I think 14,000 games. I mean, a hell with 12 or 14,000. Mine only has 4,100 games, and it's like the medium-sized Coinops 8. I think there's one that's called Coinops 8 Massive. It has even more. Now, I could technically download that one in my hard drive and just delete this one and have that one. And you can, games that you like, you can also save to your favorites list. You can just hit the white button on the controller, and it will save it. It'll highlight it. You'll see that it shows up in yellow italic. And then you've got it in a favorites list. This is Super Nintendo games, and it's great. It has this nice background music that plays. In fact, I probably should turn it down because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But there's a lot of great music, and you've got 15 different tracks. You can have them play on random to where one track plays after the next. There's even a Jean-Michel Jarre kind of electronic song that was real popular in the early 80s. It's a fantastic program. You can change this background theme to many different themes. You can change this whole thing where this whole screen is the game playing, or you just see the arcade cabinet. Very customizable. You can go in here. You've got menus within menus. Look at all this stuff. Everything you've played, shut it down, reboot it, reset, random games, screen size adjustments. And then you go to settings, and you get like menus within menus. Background music, you get 15 tracks. You can play your favorite track over and over, or play it on random, pick the track you like. Background sounds, themes, skin types. Here's a cabinet skin, video smoothing, aspect ratio, pixel perfect. Every way you want to play it. Then this one here is another whole setting, another menu within a menu called Warning Advanced Settings. You go into that, you can do cheat codes. You can turn on and off the blood effects in some of the games that had that, you know, on the arcade cabinets. It's like endless settings. It's amazing what you can do with this game. So here's all your Super Nintendo, Super Punch-Out. Look at this. It's amazing. And it doesn't have every Super Nintendo game, but you get a hell of a lot of them. Super R-Type. Look, I mean, I'd be here all day trying to go through to get 4,191 games, almost 4,200 games. To me, this is more than enough. Yeah, it'd be nice to have the one with 12. I mean, it has the ones I want. Here's Super Star Wars, one of the hardest games there is on the planet. Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, even harder, and the hardest game of all, Return of the Jedi. It's fantastic. I've got everything I want. Super Strike Eagle, my favorite, one of my favorite games. It's on here. There it is. Shows a little bit of gameplay of it. And it's amazing. You can just spend here all day. Now, the problem is it doesn't tell you what the button combinations are from the Super Nintendo to the Xbox controller, so it's kind of a trial and error. You have to go in there. Maybe there's something online. I haven't seen it yet. So it's just very challenging. Syndicate. This is a game I played on the C64. I can't believe that it's here. And there's different versions of it. And here's the Super NES version. They also have the original PC Engine version. So you got this. You can hit the side button and change it from here to Super Nintendo, jump up to the X6800, whatever that is. It's another console I've never heard of, but a lot of cool games in it. Arcade. These are all arcade games, and all the yellow ones are the ones I've got saved to my favorites list. It's fantastic. All 1941, 1942, 43. They have like every Mortal Kombat, these are actual arcade machines. It's fantastic. 4D Warriors, 800 Fathoms. This is one I used to love at the arcades when I was a kid. Ace Attacker, Acrobat Mission. Lots of good spaceship shooters, shmup games. Afterburner 1 and 2 I have saved in my favorites. Very, very cool. Air Buster. This is another one I love here. Another great one. Air Gallet. A real cool, kind of a spaceship shooter with an airplane. Airwolf. This one is one of my favorites. Alien 3, Aliens. It's amazing. And these are the arcade versions, and then they have the Super NES versions, and so it just goes on. These are just the A's. I could be here all day trying to show, literally hours, trying to show you all these games. It's Area 51. Now, I think you can do a light gun. I'd have to hook it up to my analog TV, but you can play light gun games with it, or I think you can use a controller. Now, I'll go up here. I'll change from arcade, just jump to Amiga. All the Amiga games. All the Amstrad games. It's fantastic. Look at this, Atari 2600. Look, Pac-Man. There's your Atari 2600 Pac-Man. Pitfall 1. Empire Strikes Back. It's a beautiful thing. And down here you can see I've got Doom. I like Final Doom and Final Doom 2. Now these are classics. They call them classics. They got Black, which I already have on the original Xbox, but it's emulated perfectly in here. Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom GoldenEye. Very cool. I like Final Doom and Final Doom 2, which I have for the PlayStation 1. You got Halo 1 and 2. They even have both Halo games already emulated in here. It's so cool. Heretic, Hexen, Panzer Dragoon Orta, Quake 1 and Quake 2. These were games that I am elated that I can finally play because I never had a PC and could play them before. I would like to get a Quake 2 for the PlayStation 1 too, just to have it. House of the Dead 3, and it just goes on and on. I mean, look, Beyond Castle Wolfenstein. I've never been able to play that. Now I can finally play it. And Castle Wolfenstein. It's a beautiful thing. So that's just that. These are Commodore 64 games. Now you're into Commodore 64. Now, a lot of the games that I like on the Commodore 64 they don't have, but they've got a pretty good array. California Games I played. That was one of my favorites. I loved it. Some of these Buggy Boy. I remember a lot of these. Commando they have. Very cool. Conan. Delta. These are great games. Ghostbusters. I remember that on the C64. It does have Spy vs. Spy, which are some of my favorites. I'll quickly speed down so you can go at a real fast rate. This is the one called Island Caper. It's one of my favorite Commodore 64 games. I'm so thrilled that I can finally play these. So anyway, I click on these two buttons here, the white and black button, and it brings up all of my favorites. And they're all from different consoles, like Ren and Stimpy show. Look at this. I've always wanted to play these. Now I can finally play them. It's fantastic. Show Fire Dogs. The Time Warp one. It's so good. Vidiots. It's fantastic. RoboCop 3. RoboCop versus Terminator. These are all my favorite games. Sequest DSV. This is a good submarine game. The Bart Simpson games. Very cool. Soldiers of Fortune. I love this one. So good. This is a Super Nintendo. And it tells you what system it plays on. So this is a mixture. Space Invaders. Speed Racer on the Super Nintendo, and it just goes on and on and on. Star Fox Super Weekend Competition. Starfleet Academy on the Super Nintendo. That's very cool. This is a game I've been wanting to get for my Super NES collection. Super Battle Tank 1 and 2, Super Chase HQ, very cool, a great game. Now you're into arcade games, and it goes into all of those again. So these are, I only have some. I need to go through it like all of them and save them, but it's just fantastic. So you got arcade games, Amiga games, Amstrad again, Atari 2600, Atari ST, Atari XL, Classic, ColecoVision, Commodore 64, Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games, and it has most of the best ones. Game Boy Color games, Master System, that's the Sega Master System, Sega Mega CD, very cool. There's some really cool games here. Afterburner 3, man. AH3 Thunderstrike, this is a fantastic game. See, I'm going to save that to favorites. So I hold that white button down, that goes in my favorites. That's a Sega Mega CD, Sega Mega Drive, which is the same as the Sega Genesis. The Sega 32X, it's got a lot of the 32X games. It's fantastic, man. Cosmic Carnage is one of Mark Bussler's favorite games, one of the worst games on the Sega Genesis. Metalhead, I mean, it's so cool. It has so many unusual games. I mean, I would never get one of these Sega Mega 32X things. I always wanted one. I'd never get around to getting one. It'd be so hard to track down the games. It probably would cost a fortune, but I can play a little bit of everything here. Star Wars Arcade, Star Trek. There's Star Trek. How cool is that on the 32X? Star Wars Arcade, my God, and it just goes on and on. So I could bore you to death, but it's a fantastic thing. The music is great. You can change these backgrounds. You can change the point size of the lettering. You can tailor make this. I just let the music go on random, and I'll let this play. And it rotates through the games and through everything. It's just fantastic. It's a beautiful system. I can't tell you how great this is. I'll try to go in and play this one game. Now again, I don't know any of the controls, but so I clicked on it. It takes a minute to load. It'll load Star Wars Arcade. This is a great game I've always wanted to play. It would be a reason to get a 32X. Here it goes. It takes a minute to load the game up. It's not like, the PS4 with the super high speed loading, so you got to be patient with it, but it loads it pretty quick. At my age, I'm patient. I can easily wait. The load times we had on the C64, that's something else. And there it is. I have to turn the volume up. I don't want to get a copyright. Unbelievable. This is just the demo for it. So cool. Oh my God. Oh God, I gotta turn this down or I'll get a copyright strike. But anyway, you basically get the idea. So anyway, that's my modded Xbox. I've been wanting to show it for the longest time. You could spend hours going through the games and trying a little bit of each game and showing them. It's just a very special thing. If you have any way to get one. Now, it's one of those things where I don't know where to even tell people to get one. My friend Angel found one, a guy in Riverside that was making them out of his house and selling them for like $175 each. Some people just put just a big enough hard drive so to where they can install Coinops and they just sell it the way it is. I don't know how many games you'd have left over space-wise to install at that point. I would suggest trying to get at least a 500 gigabyte hard drive if you can. You can find them on eBay, but you're taking your chances. Anything you buy electronic-wise off eBay, you got to be real careful. I just go in each hometown, ask around at game conventions, see if you can find someone that has them, that mods them. Again, I didn't want to buy one that was all scratched up modded. I wanted to take one of my perfect condition ones and have someone go through it and build me a custom one that tailor-made for what I wanted with the hard drive that I wanted, the better hard drive, or DVD drive, I mean, with a good 500 gigabyte hard drive, replacing, not removing the clock capacitor, all new thermal paste, and cleaning it, and making basically a brand new Xbox that does everything in the kitchen sink. And this damn thing does it. It's a very impressive machine. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I wish I could tell you, here's a link to where you could find your own. It's one of those things you have to research yourself and try to find one. But I would really, and again, I don't know the difference between soft and hard modding them and all that. I don't even know if this is hard modded or soft modded. All I know is it works, and it's a fantastic console. Frankly, the ultimate Xbox. So thanks so much for watching, guys. It's been fun, and enjoy your games, your game collections, and if you get a chance, try to get one of these modded Xboxes. You can also get a modded PlayStation 2 or Wii as well. I've heard that they do just as well. I don't know very much about them, but it'd be something to check into. Thanks again for watching, and enjoy your games.